Hello, you beautiful human. If your baby is screaming, crying, people are saying they have colic, they're gassy, this is the video for you. In this video, we're going to break down my top 9 tips for how to comfort and soothe a colicky, gassy baby so that there's less crying, there's less frustration, and there's more ease in the feeding process and better sleep. I'm Jessica Salmon. I'm a breastfeeding specialist, a mummy to 3, and I am dedicated to guiding mummies through the first year of parenting so that you can enjoy it. Because the newborn stage, it's a lot. It's a lot for all of us. If your baby gets colic, if your baby gets gassy, whoo, it's stressful. I get it. This video is going to give you practical things that you can do right away. So I've broken it down into 3 categories. What can you do before the feed? What can you do during the feed? And what can you do after the feed to help calm your baby, soothe and get rid of that gas, and help give them a little bit more comfort so they're not scream crying. Number 1, burp your baby. You can burp your baby before a feed because sometimes that gas has gotten trapped. You don't have to wait until they've eaten or wait till after feed to burp your baby. You could do a pre-feeding burp, and that can really just increase comfort, which then leads to a more calm latching experience. Because when our baby is crying, when they're upset, when they're in pain, that makes feeding process a lot harder, whether it's bottle feeding or breastfeeding. If your baby is in pain, it's difficult to get them comfortably feeding. So burp your baby before the feed. Number 2, create a calm environment. Your baby wants to be near you, so hold your baby to your chest. Go into a darker room, sway back and forth. If you have a sound machine, you could turn that on. I've linked my favorite one below that my brother gifted me, and I loved it. Creating this kind of environment reminds them of the womb, and it calms their nervous system. And whether they are frustrated and crying or if they're in pain and crying, it helps them calm down. And being skin to skin with you, having their face against your chest, that calms down their heart rate. It improves their breathing, and it can just it's that feeling when we hug somebody for 20 seconds and your whole body just kind of relaxes. You're creating that environment for your baby to calm down before the feed. Number 3 thing that you can do before a feed is wear the baby. There are so many benefits to wearing your baby, not just for gas and for pain relief, but for bonding and for development. There's less crying in babies who are worn. There's better sleeping in babies who are worn. And a lot of times there's better eating for babies who are worn. And I would just strongly encourage to just wear your baby as much as you can. And if you need a break, because I understand, sometimes you don't want anything on you. You just want to be free again. Ask your partner, ask your mummy, ask your friend if they can wear the baby. Having a baby wrapped against you is not spoiling a baby. It is so beneficial for the mummy and for the baby. Their head should always be where you can just kiss the top of their head. They should be that high on you. So if their head's down here, they're too low. My favorite wrap for the newborn is the Moby wrap, which I linked below. It's this stretchy material. It's thin. It's a little bit more sturdy than other materials, which I like personally because as you wear your baby, it starts to stretch out a little bit in the day and you kind of have to keep repositioning it. So I really like the Moby as a way to wrap and wear my baby. What can you do during a feed to help reduce colic, reduce crying, reduce gas? Colic is defined as incessant crying and they don't know why, basically. So it's not a very comforting diagnosis because there's no reason behind it. Gas, on the other hand, gas often will happen because of swallowing air or lactose overload or lactose intolerance, which is very, very rare, but happens in some cases. So there is a root cause for gas. Either way, these tips during the feed is going to be beneficial. Number 1 is short, frequent feeds, because oftentimes gas is a result of a baby swallowing too much air or taking in too much milk, that they're not regulating how much they're getting. So keeping our feeds frequent, one, if you're breastfeeding, it allows the baby to tap into the fatty milk, which is going to reduce gas, because the fore milk, if they get a lot of fore milk, that causes gas to happen in our bodies. If you are bottle feeding, allowing them to have more frequent feeds but at shorter duration allows them also to pace the feed a little bit better. Changing your position while breastfeeding or bottle feeding can be a huge benefit to your baby. So there are, for bottle feeding, you want to keep your baby upright and the bottle is level. This allows them to mimic breastfeeding, which allows them to pace how much milk they're getting. It improves the respiration rate. It also reduces stress because they're not getting like waterboarded by this bottle, and lessens the chance of them swallowing air. With breastfeeding, you want to do a laid back position, a side lying position, or even an upright straddle hold. This all allows the baby to pace the feed even more. It slows down the flow of milk that they're getting. So especially if you have a very fast letdown, it can feel like a fire hydrant spraying in the back of their throat. And so they're not able to coordinate their suck, swallow, breathe pattern. They're just, trying to swallow what's coming in their mouth. So doing these positions can really help reduce the chance of gas. And number 3 is listen to them while they're eating. Are they coughing? Is milk coming out of their nose? Is there a clicking sound? All of these are signs that the latch is a little bit off or the flow is a little too strong for them, that they're struggling with the feed in a way. So changing the position should really help with that. Otherwise, if you do have, like you already know, you have an oversupply or you have a really fast letdown, hand expressing or pumping before the feed can help improve comfort level for both of you. A bonus for during the feed: burp your baby. You're taking the short, frequent feeds, right? But you're also breaking them up during the feed. You let them eat a little bit, you'll stop, you'll burp them. Burp them multiple times in the feed. This can really help. What can you do after a feed? Well, number 1 is keep your baby upright. We circle right back to baby wearing. There just really is so much benefit to it. But keeping our babies upright allows the gas to get out of their body more easily, more readily. Sometimes you don't even have to burp them. You just sit them upright and you just kind of like bounce your leg a little bit, just wait. They'll burp themselves a lot of the times. We don't need to be like beating their back. It wants to get out of their body. So if we allow their body to be in a position that is optimal for removing that gas, whether it's like knees coming up or sitting upright, it's gonna come out. And so keep your baby upright as long as possible after a feed. Minimum 10 minutes. That's bare minimum. It should be longer than that. Number 2, this should happen at like 30 minutes or more after a feed. So you don't want to do this on a recently full tummy. But baby massage is wonderful. Whether your baby has gas or not, you should do baby massage because it improves bonding. It's this like calming time for you both. There's a lot of eye contact that can happen. And so, I do it with my kids and they're like 2 and 4 and 7. And we'll do it before bed. And it's just a way to calm back down, refocus, recenter. And you're going to start with your hands. Take a nice clean lotion, or I love coconut oil, so I just use coconut oil. And then put on your hands, make sure your hands are warm, especially if you have Raynaud's, because your fingertips will probably be cold. And then warm up your hands, and then you're going to start in a gentle scooping motion on their tummy, always going downwards. Gentle scooping, and then go around their belly button, down, like you're forming a question mark. You're moving with the gut. Basically, you're like encouraging the air and the food, like, let's go this way, and then come out. So doing that about 5 to 10 times. And then you can do what they call the I love you massage, which is I, and then on top of the belly button, going down, love, it's an upside down L, and then an upside down you. All of this, it's just fun to do. One, it's nice to do with the baby, but also it really, really, really does help with gas. I love to end the massage by lifting up their hips and kind of like shaking them back and forth and then pulling their legs just a little bit, just gently. Of course, we're dealing with a tiny baby, so we want to be very gentle in our movements, but not like feathery with our fingers. This tip is primarily for breastfeeding mummies, but you can take pre and probiotics and it will boost that in your milk, which will help them have a healthier gut microbiome to help fight off whatever is happening. If you are formula feeding your baby, then you might want to look at a lactose-free milk, especially if you're noticing a lot of like green frothy poops or like any kind of explosive poops, or if they're just really struggling with gas. Could be the nipple flow, or it could be the type of formula being used. So looking for a hypoallergenic one, or goat's milk formula has become really popular for this reason because it tends to be easier on the gut for a lot of babies. So possibly switching the type of formula you're using can help. If this video has been of any help at all, will you please like and subscribe? And I'd really love to hear from you. Would you put down below something that helped you deal with this gassy, colicky time? If you're going through it, just say what you're struggling with. If you have gone through it, share something that you have learned through that experience, because a community of parents helping each other is so invaluable. So I'd love your input. I'd love to hear from you and just learn from you as well. I love ya. See you, pizza.